Bonjour mes amis, et bienvenue en Pendu dans le Cercle de Lune. Hello friends, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you may be wondering, where the heck am I? Well, I'm not in my office. I'm not in my normal place of residence. I'm up here in the mountains doing an English winter camp in South Korea. I live in South Korea, but like I said, I'm up in the mountains. And so it's hot outside, it's summer. It's beautiful outside, it's gorgeous, the sun is shining brightly, and it is hot. And I do not want to do this video out in the hot. And also, there are cicadas all over the place, and they're making a racket, so we would have picked that up as well. So I'd like to do it inside. This is the classroom that I'm using. It's not my classroom, my personal classroom, it's the classroom of another teacher. We're doing the camp at a school up in the mountains in Korea. And it's a gorgeous building, but inside this classroom, it's very, very dirty. There are some beautiful aspects to it, but it's also not something I would like to show other people because, well, while the beautiful aspects are there, there are some things that are a little bit grungy, and so I decided this is the best background, but as far as lighting goes, it is not the best background. So please forgive that. Bear with me for the next couple of weeks, okay? Thank you. Now, you know from that intro to my attempt at a French introduction that this is my series in which I use Tarot de Marseille adjacent, and antique Italian decks to help me unpack my larger weekly reading. And I just changed over to a brand new kind of spread and a brand new kind of reading to do. It's a 15 card spread based on a spread that was created by the Golden Dawn way back at the beginning of the 1900s or perhaps the late 1800s. And I've modified it just a skosh, but it's still a 15 card spread. And the reading is interesting. I'm transitioning into my Thoth deep dive year. And the reading was very, very interesting. I'm still working on it. The decks are not, none of the decks are 100% Thoth. One deck that I used in the larger reading this week was Thoth inspired, very strongly Thoth inspired. The other is very Smith-Waite inspired. And the third was an Oracle deck, all by the same creator. So this is my transition lunar cycle to get me into Thoth. And it was a really interesting reading. Reading about, well, if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend going to see that video. So I will put a card up here for you to be able to hop on over and take a look at that video so you get the context. Because the question I ask every week now is, what is the central message of this weekly spread, or this time, this week's 15 card spread? So I'm asking for a central message from that larger spread. And it's interesting because there's the message that this set of cards is pointing towards is very different from what I had expected, at least so far. And when we read these cards together, we'll see how close it is to the larger spread. What I got from this week's larger spread is, if you have seen it, let me just give you a couple of sentences of a recap. It's about love. It's about love, it's about transformation, it's about leaving things behind and that kind of death, that feeling of death of the past for the beginning of the new. There are a lot of spiritual flavors to this week's reading as well. High Priestess, Hierophant, the concept of ascension and breakthrough. There's a lot of spiritual energy flowing through this week's spread, and a lot of spiritual attributes that were highlighted in, I believe, a focus of love. Now, what kind of love? That love could be love for another human being, certainly a sexual romantic kind of love, or a parental, a friendship kind of love, but it could also be love of self, could be love of the mind, the loving relationship of the hemispheres to create the androgynous mind. It could be the love of human self and eternal nature that is having the human experience. It could be the love of us and the divine, which are never, there is nothing to unite there because there has never been a separation, but there is that aspect of apparent, of perceived difference, and that kind of loving relationship there. Could be a loving, when you think of your current moment of where you are, what you are experiencing, where do you feel love, your inner child? Where do you feel love appearing for you? That's what this week's spread was about. Whatever came up to you in your mind just then is what this week's spread was about. It's kind of like a pick a card reading, except the spread is the same, but we read it differently depending on how you answered that question. So that's what this week's spread was kind of about, and so I did my 3-card spread with my Tarot de Marseille deck, and you'll see I brought 2 Tarot de Marseille decks with me to the camp, so I've only got this one and another one to use for the next 3 weeks. But this one, the cards that appeared, and you will see in just a moment, were a little bit of a surprise. So what am I going to do? I am going to show you the question that I just asked, all written out nice and pretty in letters and everything. And then I'll show you the spread that I pulled, and then we'll talk about it. As usual, are you ready? Let's go! What did you think of this spread? Were you surprised? Did you have one of those, one of these things is not like the other kind of moments? Well, yes, one of these things is not like the others. So I had 3 Tarot de Marseille cards pulled out, and then there was one kind of odd card there, right? That is from an oracle deck. And I'll have the listing in the box below for the Tarot de Marseille. The Tarot de Marseille deck is my copy of the Dodal that was produced by Flornoy. And it's a wonderful deck to use. The cardstock is kind of thick and a little bit, just a hair difficult to shuffle if you don't have strong hands. The cards are just barely rounded, so they're not very sharp. But and just in case you want to see the backs, here's what the backs look like. It's a wonderful deck to use. But it takes a little bit of strength if you are a riffle shuffler like I am. But so yeah, there were those cards. And then there was this one. Now I'll show you the back of it. I have a walkthrough of this deck. This is an oracle deck. And yes, I'm using an oracle card in this spread. I did a walkthrough of this deck. And at the end of that walkthrough, or during that walkthrough, I mentioned that I purchased this deck specifically because I thought it would pair very well with my traditional Tarot de Marseille decks. This deck is created by a Deviant Moon, Patrick Valenza of Deviant Moon, and the concept behind the Oracle deck is that they found a deck of cards, an Oracle deck, that was produced by the fictitious Zammer twins, and it was produced in around 1780, I believe, which is right around the height of Tarot de Marseille publishing in France and in Europe. And looking at the art on the cards that I was able to see, I thought this would really pair wonderfully with my traditional standard remakes of the Tarot de Marseille. So I got it, and I got it specifically to use for this series. So yes, one of you wonderful viewers of my channel, when that viewer saw the walkthrough of this Oracle deck, said in the comments that they were afraid that I was moving to the dark side because I was using an Oracle deck. That is apparently anathema. Well, it might be anathema, but that's what I'm going to do. At least I want to try it out. I want to try it out because I use Oracle Darks, the dark side. I use Oracle decks with Smith-Waite spreads. I use them with my Thoth spreads. I use them with my Continental Tarot cards. I use them with everything else. So I wanted to give it a shot. Let's see how it works out. And I really do think, oh, I do use the accompanying expansion cards that were created by Patrick Valenza for his Triunfi della Luna series. Now, the Triunfi della Luna, his take on, which I would call Tarot de Marseille adjacent, his take on the Tarot de Marseille, there's an expansion pack to those decks that is like an oracle deck. So I use those together when I read with the Triunfi della Luna, but I thought I'd like an oracle deck to try playing around with my traditional Tarot de Marseille and my Italian decks. So that's what I'm going to do. See how it works. You don't like it? Let me know in the comments below. If you like it, let me know in the comments below. This is going to be fun. I think this will be fun. So you saw in the spread, we had from left to right, the Six of Wands, the Page of Coins, and then the Nine of Swords. Now, if we're going for elemental associations, yeah, Earth is the center, and I believe that that Page of Coins is the center of this spread. The Earth and the Swords are in conflict. The Earth and the Wands, they are neutral. The Wands and the air, the Swords and the Wands, they are best buddies. They uplift each other. But in that uplifting of Wands and Swords, half of that is fighting against the Earth with the Page of Coins. So, and I'm mentioning this because I've added elemental dignities to my reading of the larger spread. And if we look at these three cards in elemental dignity, these two cards here are fighting each other. So there's a challenge here. These two cards are elementally best buds. Yeah, they lift each other up. And these two cards, they're chill, they're okay. Yeah? They're fine. They don't interfere with each other. So, because I think this Page of Coins, Valet de Denier, is the center, we'll start off with this guy. Now, the Valet de Denier, Page of Coins, ambition, desire to do, to make, yeah? Desire, diligence. Not the diligence of the knight, of course, but diligence. This page is ready to get out there and learn and do. And this page cherishes his, her, or their bodies. Yeah? The page is ready to planning for or laying out the foundations for a future, practical endeavors, plans for doing stuff. But it is a page. There are perhaps limitless untapped potentials that are within reach of this page. There is a tangible success that is beginning here, but it's just the beginning. There's a solid material base for further advancement, but again, it's just the beginning. We've got the potential. We've got that first glimmer of direction indicated. Yeah? And the picture of the page we have right here is a little bit dazed and confused, just a little bit, right? So this is what we've got, the page kind of looking forward, but a little bit off to the side of the Six of Wands, right? They were like this, correct? So the page, while the page really is looking forward, has a bit of a leaning towards the Six of Wands, which is good because, like I said, they walk very comfortably together. They don't support each other. They're not pushing each other forward, but they walk comfortably together. And so the Six of Wands is here to accompany the Page of Coins. And what does that mean? The Six of Wands is sixes. It's beauty, it's pleasure. It's enjoying doing the stuff we're doing. It's pleasurable action. Enjoying what we do and doing what we love as well, and the vitality that that can produce. Have you ever done something that you love and loved doing it and felt that vitality? That's the Six of Wands. There's the potential of surrendering to temptation and ecstasy, but I don't think that's what this is pointing to. This is pointing to doing what we love and loving what we do and the vital energies that we can receive from that. And that could be in the lines of sexuality, and it can be in the lines of creativity, it could be art, it could be creating anything, and it could be creating love, making love. And it's happy not only to do, but also to be. Happy to be who we are, doing what we are doing. Finding our own unique personal expression. And that's exactly what the Page of Coin, I think, wants to do. Now, as we get that taste of the potential of the direction we could be moving in, and start laying the foundations, we can start enjoying the direction we're beginning to move in. Enjoy being who we are as we explore the direction we're moving in. And the stuff we're beginning to do and the potentials we're beginning to realize. So we've got the Six of Wands, we've got the Page of Coins, and then behind the Page of Coins, we've got the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords. Now, nines can be difficult. They could be endings, they could be breakdowns as well as breakthroughs. So the Nine of Swords here, beautifully done card. I love Flornoy's cards. The Nine of Swords is a perspective shift in one way, but it's also a loss of belief. There could be broken ideologies, as well as revelations. You know, the breakdown of one and the revelation of another. But it asks for us to intellectually let go of something. And if we don't actually open our hands and let go, then it's going to be ripped out of our hands, and this could be a painful process. Of that breakdown and a breaking of ideology, instead of just letting it go and letting the beliefs that no longer serve us move into the past as we accept and open ourselves to what is coming or has come. Because the light has appeared after a long search in this card as well. If we allow ourselves to open our eyes and take the past away from here, because it's what's blocking our view. Old concepts are brought into question, and that is right and good at this time. So we've got the Page with ambitions, desires, something new, but it's kind of a physical thing. But there's also a little bit of sexuality added on to that, because we had this week's spread is all about love. And these cards seem more about what we're doing in the world. But this week's spread is also about change, and the change that is often revealed with the Death card. And so maybe that's what this is pointing to. It's that change, that revelation, the letting go of the past and the opening to the future. Yeah? So what is this card going to add to us? What is the Buffoon card here to tell us? And I think it's this that really is helping us relate these three cards with this week's spread. Because the Buffoon here, let me read what Patrick Valenza says about the Buffoon card. He says, with the sudden opening of the drapes, the merry buffoon reveals his flamboyant new outfit to the world. Being totally comfortable in his own skin, he laughs out loud at himself, knowing life is too serious to be taken seriously. Life is too serious to be taken seriously. It's too important not to have a sense of humor about it. Does that make sense to you? So that's who this fool is. This fool is saying, this is who I am, and is reveling in that that revelation, laughing out loud at himself and others who are laughing at him as well. Not in embarrassment, not in disgrace or unworthiness, but in, I don't have to freaking hide myself anymore. So the meaning for this card upright is happy or an exuberant person who doesn't give a flying F for what anybody else thinks. Being playful and childlike. A lighthearted approach to life. Joyous and unexpected surprises. Which is wonderful for this page, right? If this page is out here doing the ambition, desire, and diligence in the, well, I got to get going. This is too important. I've got so much potential. That potential has to be realized. It's got to be right. It's got to be good. It's got to be, If it goes in that direction, even with the pleasurable action, doing what you love, if it's done too seriously, that, oh, this is good, I like this. If it's done too seriously, I don't know why I have to do that voice to make it sound serious, but if it's done too seriously, we lose half of it, right? The buffoon is here to remind us that we want to, what is that biblical? We want to accept the kingdom of heaven like a child. Now, the kingdom of heaven, our potential, our revelation, our ascension, our breakthrough, our transformation is available to us, and doing it as a fool for God, as a buffoon, laughing at ourselves in our folly for what we have been and who we are now and who we will become, because it's too important to take it too seriously. That transformation, that transformation of death, we usually, so many of us look at it as a fearful thing of, and we think of Scorpio, oh my God, Scorpio, that's just the worst thing in the world. And take it from a Scorpio rising, that Scorpio rising is not necessary. We can totally do this. You can totally do this as well. That transformation, that death of transformation, not the death of the physical body, but that death of transformation. We get so scared by it, or we get so tight by it. What's going to happen? What am I going to do? How's it going to be? Am I going to fail? I got to get this right, or I'm going to mess it up. And it's doing all of those things. I think that this card is here to remind us of as being the mistake. We want to learn to be able to laugh at ourselves, at who we are and who we are going to become as well, because that's not the end of the journey either. You were 5 once, right? 5 years old. You were 15 once, right? Are you older than 15? Were you 15 once? Imagine the 5-year-old looking at the 15-year-old self as their potential and thinking, when I get there, that's it. That's perfection. And working really, really hard to get to that 15-year-old being. And then when they get there, it's, now I'm here, I'm done, that's it. Does that make any sense? No, we want to laugh at who we will become, because we know that is just, that's the new 5-year-old. That 15-year-old is the new 5-year-old, and that 15-year-old is going to go through another transition to the 25-year-old, to the 35-year-old, to the 45-year-old. I don't know why I picked 5s, but that's what I picked. Just realize something else. This is card number 7 in the deck. If we add the 9 and the 6 together, what do we get? We get, Wait a second. 9 and 6. Why did I think that would give me 7? Sorry. Okay, so no. 9 and 6 does not give us 7. It gives us 15, which gives us 6 again. Right? So, never mind. Sorry. Okay, so I'm not going to edit that out. You get to see me tread water there for a moment as I entered this pit, this sinkwell of misunderstanding. So you're going to see all of that. But that's the reading for today, this week. We got these potentials, and we can enjoy who we are and who we're becoming. It's going to ask us, the challenge is to shift the perspective, to go through the loss of belief, to the new that we are moving towards. But we want to do it like this dude. Whether this is a boy dude, a girl dude, a trans dude, a cis dude, an intersex dude, whatever. We want to do it like this dude. Laughing at ourselves, laughing at who we will become, laughing at the seriousness of it all, because it is serious, and it's too serious to be taken seriously. Okay? So that's the reading. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already, so that YouTube knows that you got something out of it. It really helps the channel if you do that. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. And comment below. And if you want a reading from me, my personal email address is below. thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. We'll get you a reading with Tarot de Marseille, with any of the decks I brought up to camp with me. I've got a couple of cloth-inspired decks. I've got some Smith-Waite decks. I've got a bunch of stuff. Not everything, but a bunch of stuff. So shoot me an email. We'll read for you, okay? So friends, thank you very much. And thank you for joining me on this journey. And as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.